Most of the products we make and buy turn into waste. But what if there was another step to make consumption more eco-friendly? Business startup Humble Sustainability hopes to execute this and boost the country's circular economy. Let's learn more now from CEO Josef Werker. Josef, thank you so much for joining us on the program. First of all, why do we need to go circular?
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really it's an honor. I think because today we are linear, right? So we live in a society where we create things, we use it, sometimes twice, sometimes three times, and then ultimately we throw it away. And this culture, this behavior ends up with a mountain of things building up landfills.
And of course, we experienced that, especially during the past 2.5 years. During the pandemic, we all stayed at home. You accumulated so much trash, masks, face shields, and even the food. And we just threw them away.
Correct. I mean, I think it's the pandemic was really interesting because number one, yes, we accumulated a massive amount of waste. It was very difficult for the environment in lots of ways. In other ways, the planet did have a little bit of a moment to rebreathe. And also, I think people became a lot more conscious of the way that they use things and the value of things and how delicate this earth really is. You know, I think COVID really brought that perspective to people in general, looking after themselves, their health, and hopefully what's next is also the planet.
All right, you've been here in the Philippines for 8 years now. You founded Humble Sustainability. From your vantage point as a non-Filipino, where is the Philippines right now in adopting circular initiatives?
Well, I think I've been here for 8 years. And when I first came here, circular economy, I never even heard the words. At least now the conversation is there, right? And in the startup world where I spend most of my time, there are lots of more climate tech, clean tech, agri-tech companies coming forward with these solutions. So I do think it's getting better, but of course, we're definitely far behind where we should be.
What kind of solutions do you offer with your startup company in terms of helping local companies with their circular initiatives?
So we make returns and excess inventory the hero. So we help businesses like logistics, e-commerce, retail, with essentially the items or the products that would perhaps be forgotten and end up in landfills. Things like, again, returns, aging, inventory. From there, we sell the top quality things on thrift to individuals, where they can buy great quality items sustainably with very, very low prices. And then everything else we sell to our network of B2B recyclers and resellers. So essentially what we're trying to do is offer a way for businesses to earn from the things that are otherwise just taking up space and just lying around. And at the same time, offering really quality, affordable things for people who may not otherwise be able to afford them.
Which particular industries or companies have been really proactive in sustainability?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think of course, the big conglomerates here have made lots of noise about some of the and huge initiatives in some of the things they've been doing. But again, I think mostly in terms of my world, where tech and startups are, a few years ago, there were very, very few in terms of climate technology. And now you're seeing a lot more kind of breakthrough, which is very encouraging.
You mentioned that key word,
Yes.
noise. It could just be noise, but no action.
Yeah.
But these conglomerates and companies just use sustainability, which is like an in word right now,
Yes.
as a marketing gimmick, as a promotion to say that, hey, we're a sustainability circular company.
It's a buzzword, right?
Yeah.
It really is. And I think we always have to be careful with greenwashing. You know, there's been some things in the news about that with some very big companies and some of those claims. But look, I think there is genuine intent, and there are some massive initiatives ongoing. You know, we've been lucky enough to work with some really great companies, some of the largest companies here, who are extremely keen and proactive and building teams in-house that really look at these things. I think, yes, it can be seen sometimes as a marketing gimmick, but if that's an incentive for these businesses to really push the boundaries and launch further into helping the planet with these things, then it's okay.
But it's not just a one-way street, right? It's not just the private sector that should really go circular, you also have to have the government policies in place and a partnership between the public and the private sector. Do you think that the government policies are strong enough to pressure local groups to adopt sustainability?
Look, we have a mountain of problems at the moment, right? And so it's understood, of course, that the focus may not be as much on this as some of the Western world who do have the privilege of being able to focus on it more. However, I think things are definitely improving. Again, you can see a lot more investment in this space. You can see even, through Cuba and things like that, you've got more and more innovation hubs being built where they're encouraging innovation in this space. But there always can be more, right? There can be more in terms of having mandatory sustainability ratings that are transparent, have data really there so that these actions and these projects that these companies take part in have this tangible data point.
But it also helps that in COP27, right, in Egypt, there was a landmark agreement between the developed countries, helping the developed countries in terms of reducing their greenhouse gas emissions and their fossil fuel footprint.
Look, I don't know enough. I wasn't there. I wish I was. But I am, of course, everything that we hear sounds very promising. So I think the key... It can be
just noise. It can just be the buzzword. But
this is it, right?
You really have to put into action.
This is
the developed countries really have to pay these developing countries, and we really have to see the material, the cash being paid back to the developing countries.
Right. I mean, look, if there really is, and it does sound like it, there's a big focus on countries that are less fortunate being able to receive this aid and this effort, then that's fantastic. I think the main thing is we really need to ensure follow through. Like since the last big conference, there were landmark agreements there, and we kind of fizzled out a little bit. Of course, COVID happened. But
so, tell me, Joseph, how large right now is the footprint of Humble Sustainability in the Philippines?
So we're just really getting started, right? This is
startup, right?
This is where the work starts.
Yes.
We've just been lucky enough to raise this wonderful investment from some great international investors, led by Seed Stars. But look, I think actually,
what are you going to use that money for?
Well, to grow, I think, to really grow. I mean, one is growth. The second is technology, continue developing the product, and build the team. So hopefully we can spread as much impact as physically possible.
Absolutely. Hopefully you'll be one of the catalysts for the circular economy to expand and to be sustained here in the Philippines. Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. Humble Sustainability CEO, Josef Werker.
Thank you sincerely.